This is Chelsee Jean, your host at the local experiment, and every girl's dream. I'm about to get my makeup done and let you in so you get to see me bare boned. I'm doing this for you, all you women out there. It's a frightful place to be in, but I have a wonderful lady that's going to take care of me. This is my friend.
Hi, I'm Katie Kirchof, freelance makeup artist, and today I'm going to give Chelsee a beautiful everyday look that just enhances her natural beauty with highlighting and contouring. Some questions that a lot of people have been asking me on how to do, we're going to show you on Chelsee today. So, for the first step is I always do eyes first, and before you apply an eyeshadow, you always want to prime the eyelids. So we're going to prime her eyelids first, and then do the eyeshadow look, and then show you the face directions.
It is times like this when I feel the old blood inside stirring, heating the new Mexican, Mexicano, Chicano. I am listening to Los Lobos, guitarrón and accordion spinning out generations of dignified grief. The soothing and sharpening of sorrow by tequila's wet kiss. Listening to the thrum, pop, and cry of congas, Chepito, talking bells, and the crack, boom, splash of timbales, Santana's guitar, wailing blue fire. And I think about cutting off these long dreads and slicking back whatever is left to look more like my folks want me to. Like my Uncle Joe, the drunken barroom brawler. Or like my father, the 60-hour-a-week man, the never-miss-a-beat man, the union man, the ladies' man on weekends. Much to the sorrow and heartbreak of my mother. And something inside shifts, churns, slow, moving, like the juice inside the maguey, and I think of my Uncle Jesse, a huge man, full of laughter, bow hunter, and the best dancer in the family. And I think of my mother as a young girl, raising her 4 younger brothers, following the crops from Michigan to Southern California to Texas and back again. And I think of my grandmother, bruja, curandera, or both, casting spells and prayers by candlelight, pulling 3-year-old me out of near-lethal fever that had baffled every doctor at the hospital. And I think of my grandfather at age 14 in the coal mines of West Texas, pitting 14-year-old muscle and bone and tendon and pickaxe against bowie knife and sledgehammer-wielding bullies, and winning. And a deeper thing takes hold of what I am. And being who I am, there is no part of me that is not touched, burned, stroked, clutched by the heat and the laughter, by the songs and the tears, by all the lives of wildness and self-sacrifice, by all the lives of muscle and wisdom and gamble it took to come here, right here. The old blood and songs mixing with, igniting the new, incandescent, unmistakably bladed and branded, simmered and shimmering, Mexican, Mexicano, Chicano.
Well, I am here with Danny, who just did his spoken word, which was incredible and powerful for me. So
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming and sharing that with us. And I kind of wanted to understand what makes you take something and translate it into a spoken word piece that you're going to share with random individuals?
Almost anything. I mean, for me, I just call it a poem. It's just a poem.
It's a poem.
And I write, I write stuff, and then whatever I think. Not everything that I write necessarily gets memorized and performed, but everything I write, I think, has the potential to be performed, even if it's just read off paper, and not memorized. But anything that's important to me in my life, it could be relationships, or it could be food or family, it could be anything that touches me or moves me, something I see, just, something on the street that triggers something else.
What was your first poem, I guess? What was like the first thing that you created and it was like, yeah, this is a poem and I need to share this?
It was when I was 5 years old. I wrote a poem called Sugar Rain. And it was something like, sugar rain on my window pane, won't you come take away my pain? That, pain rhymes with pain.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I was feeling so much pain about when I was 5 years old, because I had a great childhood. Really?
You got a toy taken away.
I think I lost a G.I. Joe in the yard somewhere.
I think that's
and
painful
it was
at that age.
Yeah, and it was raining, so I couldn't go outside and, look for it. And so thus the sad missive about the pain.
I love it. I always find it so intriguing that it started at 5.
Yeah.
When did you really start taking it to another level where you perform for people to hear? What do you hope people get out of it when they're listening, or is it mainly just for what you're getting out of it?
Oh no, I hope I'm communicating with my audience. It's not just about me, and I know there are performers, not just poets, that feel that way. It's all about them and whatever the audience gets or whatever. And I don't know, I feel a little irritated with people like that. I'm like, well, then why go in public if it's all about you? Just stay in your house and perform in the mirror.
Very true.
And because you're so wonderful and you can share yourself with yourself. And I'm not going to go farther into that because there's something else that makes me think of. But
right, and you got me in the nutshell. I'm sitting in the mirror all the time talking to myself.
Are you really?
No.
Wow. I wouldn't have imagined that, and I guess why don't I imagine it? Because you don't do it. No, I perform. I guess what I really want to do, the first thing I want to do is be true to the poem, because I feel like a poem is really a gift, especially a good poem, and once you get that text on paper and you craft that, and then after that, for me, the goal is to learn how to perform it in a way that connects the audience to the emotion that pushed me to write the poem initially. What was that emotion that existed pre-composition of the poem? Because that is a really wonderfully complex and powerful thing. And if I can get some of that into the performance of the poem, then I've done my job as a poet. Because for me, the job of the poet isn't just to write poetry and publish poems and let people read them, but it's also to learn how to honor the poem by performing it for an audience. So
there really is a method.
Yeah. There's a lot of...
For you anyways, because it's an individual-based thing, but...
Work. There's a lot of work.
There's a lot of work.
That goes into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can say personally, from my experience of just hearing the one that you did that work. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
You're awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to come and see you sometime.
Okay.
Perform.
Oh, I was going to say, you can also come to a poetry
meeting.
I'll
just hang out too. We can just hang out
come to the
sometime.
house. Just bang on the door.
Works for me.
Cook some food,
Well, delicious.
I would say wine or beer, but no, not right now.
Not right now.
No.
Yeah, that's okay.
Later.
But I used to be a bartender, so I could sling some drinks for you, and then you can make me some food. And
there we go.
That's a mutual good friendship happening.
All right. Yes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming here.
Uh-huh.
My girlfriends are so Southern. When they open their mouths to speak, cornbread falls out. Succulent and golden, still steaming with long vowels, butter and honey, and a generous helping of sass. My girlfriends are so Southern, they ask for separate checks at drive-thrus, wean free drinks off waiters and bartenders, charm other people's grandmas, and mean it. My girlfriends survive on Slim Fast and apples, outlive their own worst decisions, maintain ties with old boyfriends, and make friends with their wives to everyone else's horror. My girlfriends were born in places like Catfish and Campobello. They lay claim to gap-toothed grannies, hillbilly uncles, redneck weddings and trailer parks, and being the first generation not born in their house. Yet they are very new South. They run marketing departments and international sales divisions, buy diamonds or rescue children in the third world. They catch men like flies in their sharp, flinty teeth, examine them carefully before releasing them to crawl on land again. My girlfriends fry okra and squash, dip shrimp in tartar sauce, then hush their puppies. Make potato salads for picnics, Jell-O molds on 4th of July, and strawberry pie anytime. Their banana puddings rise high in the oven, a cloud of whipped custard riding on top. My girlfriends say fixin' to and might could, y'all, and honey pie, don't make me whoop your ass. My girlfriends love dirty jokes, secondhand smokes, the occasional pornographic magazine. They are married, divorced, liposuction, man addicted. We have sleepovers so we can admire our lives and dissect each other's. Make Ms. resilient enough to last outside the walls where we spin our tales into fabulous histories over vodka tonics, stolen ashtrays, and somebody's homemade bong. We are skinny dippers, off-time trippers, moon bathers, sun gazers, risk takers, heart breakers, or at least that's what we tell ourselves.
Hi, I'm here with Pam. Thank you so much for your piece. You surprised me with how a little risque it was and had some southern background. Could you explain where that particular poem derived from?
That poem, My Girlfriend, stems from half a lifetime spent in the South and just admiring Southern women. And it's written specifically about 4 of my favorite friends, just 4 of the best women I know. And I think they represent what is most exciting and interesting about the South. And sometimes it is risque. But if I'm going to be a college professor and an academic and a parent of small children, then the way I get away with risque and sexual topics and kind of twisting the poem a little bit is just to say, well, that's a persona. I've adopted an alter ego. And I think all smart writers do that on some level because I'm trying to represent the cleverness and the originality of Southern womanhood. But it's more than just Scarlett O'Hara, right?
Yeah, well, and it translates well to somebody like me who doesn't have a lick of Southern inner either way. So, like, I definitely resonated with it and felt the power of the woman. And I don't know, just you do so well at making a full story with really subtle words or little twists in the words of how you say it.
Thank you.
What is one of your favorite parts of doing poems and with an audience, and what do you get out of it?
I've been giving poetry readings since college as an English major. It's something we just did. But now that spoken word has come into my world, and and we have poetry slams. I hosted the first poetry slam or the first slam poetry exhibition at RCTC on Valentine's Day because I wanted the students to see it and experience it. Connecting with the audience and learning your piece and performing your piece and being so into your piece that you embody it and it's very physical. That's really powerful. I was performing at the Salon last winter. I just got up on stage after the featured performers had gone because Danny asked me to, and belted out a poem. And halfway through, I had this moment of consciousness where I thought, "This is the best audience I've ever had." The energy was like crackling in the room, and the atmosphere was so electrified. And maybe there were only 40 people on the ground down below that stage on that floor, but they were all so tuned in and so connected. If I'd said boo, they all would have dropped their drinks, or jumped out of their skin. And that's the power of poetry.
Yeah, and you're doing something with poetry that's also really about trying to get a message across. It's a lot of people don't realize that's happening with human trafficking. Could you shed a little bit on that and let people know what's going on there?
So a lot of people don't realize that human trafficking and modern day slavery is a huge national problem, but it's right here in Minnesota. It's in Rochester. We're being smarter than a lot of states about combating it because we've been ranked so high on the FBI list with the top 13 states for human trafficking and slavery. So I've done this piece with a cello player 2 professional dancers who also act and do some improv. And there's a silent film that runs on the screen behind the stage, and it's a 7-minute poem where I adopt the persona of a 14-year-old prostitute who has been coerced by her so-called boyfriend, who turns out to be a predator and a pimp. And she fraudulently enters the sex trade, and she's forced into prostitution and stuck there. And it's a way to get the message across and help people to understand how sex trafficking can happen to a girl that young, that innocent, but also really coming from a good home. And it eventually allows the audience to kind of connect with a really ugly and scary issue, but you connect through the music or the poem or watching the visual element of the film or watching the dancers act it out.
Something that's not so shocking or overwhelming for somebody to take in,
right.
But really starting to understand the fundamentals of how serious of an issue it is.
Yes.
Because I can tell you, my neighbor's daughter went through that.
Oh.
Just right in Byron.
There you go.
So like it's
here.
it's right. It's happening right here.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, what a great way to get the message across without making people necessarily feel uncomfortable.
Right. It's a heavy subject. It's a scary subject. The poem is heavy and scary, and I start out happy and excited to have a new boyfriend that I met at the food court. By the end of the poem, I'm damning the entire audience for not recognizing the problem and for turning a blind eye and a deaf ear. Yeah. I'm hoping we're planning to perform it around town. It had a really healthy reception at the Civic Theater during the Power of a Woman's Voice event. And so
what's a good place for people to go to maybe find out more ways to maybe see that particular one, or just see some poems and different things happening?
Right.
I know there's all types of little hot spots that people
I
don't
know.
realize.
There right now, it seems like almost every week or two there's something going on at the Creative Salon right there on 4th Street. There are open mics being held all over the place. Dave Van Al is about to start up the Drink Idiom Poetry Slam again. Okay. I know that July 18th and 19th we're going to put my piece, it's called How It Begins, the sex trafficking piece, into Crooked Lines, which is a production that was the Garden last year, and Crooked Lines is going to be done probably at the Salon. You can look at the Civic Theater website. They host open mics from time to time. Things just keep sprouting up. They're very homegrown. Originally, Facebook is the way to find them.
Right. And the local experiment will help promote it.
Very good.
Like, slide that in there. Well, thank you so much for showing us like a whole other aspect of what poetry is and spoken word that I don't think most of us realize, including myself. I don't realize how powerful it can be, how fun it can be, silly, serious. I mean, it can take you on an emotional roller coaster ride.
You said it. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. Right. People think poetry is a dead thing or a flat thing or a thing that only comes out of books. They don't realize that in the 12th century, the French bards sang the poems. The minstrels sang. In Italy, poems were sung in the court and performed as if they were plays. And if it's not live and it's not in your face and it's not, happening so that you feel it with your entire body, then you're just selling it short, right? Poetry can be really powerful. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Life will continue, but you won't be who you were. You won't know any more answers. You will search in all your darkest late night hours, in every deserted corner of your mind. You will never know. You will wake mid-sleep, startled, panicking, racing heart, anchored to depths of your rotting gut. But you will be alive. You will be alive. You will learn to understand slowly. You are not selfish. You love differently, not any less. And you will love yourself more than you ever thought you would. Enough to know your life is too delicate. You fought too hard. You are strong, and the will for your survival will overrule all other thoughts. You will feel guilt, remorse, throughout months or even years, for knowing the facts, for knowing it's a disease like all others that needs treatment. But you can't be the treatment. You can't be the substitution. You can't be his quick fix. It can only be temporary bandage. And one voice you've always trusted, her voice, reminds you, your open, vulnerable, loving heart, your belief in hope, your compassion, all which he loved most about you, will create change in this world. You won't live in a life just not made for you. You're not selfish for loving yourself. You start slowly learning, each moment passing, you're growing. Then the time will come. You will find your heart grateful for him. You will find inside yourself the strength to thank him. Your heart will always ache. You'll be living in your memories each day. There's no option to run away, and you'll not want to forget. You'll not regret a moment, and you'll learn to appreciate each second, each lesson he was teaching you when you didn't even know. You'll thank him when you're ready. So, dear first love, thank you for leaving the door open as you passed through. Thank you for stopping and staying as long as you did, as long as you could. I do, and always will love the life I shared and was lucky enough to have spent with you.
Sophie, thank you so much. That was awesome. And I want to know, when you write these poems, where do you come up with your material, your emotions?
Just every day, inspiration, a few words, that really helps me narrow my focus. I'll ask or hear others' thoughts that they're just randomly sharing. I might not even know who they are, but I'll hear certain words and I'll be like, oh, and it'll just hit, and I have to write. I have to write each day. There's no other choice. I have to write.
So you write every single day? Was it kind of a journal, and then you take it into, formulate it into a poem in front of people?
It's not journaling exactly. It's more of like just a stream of consciousness, and just kind of just keep going and going and going. And then I can go back and read, and there will be a few little hints of something more substantial there. And then from then, I have to break it down into chapters.
And what made you decide to start to share it with the public and not make it a private thing?
I actually started watching slam poetry and spoken word YouTube videos back in 2008. And I had dreamed of doing it ever since then. Like, that was my ultimate dream, was to do spoken word. And it wasn't until July 30th of this last year that I got on the stage and shared my first.
So you are new to the game. One would not think that with what you just did right here.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
That is impressive. What do you hope people take away when they listen to what you're saying?
One of the biggest things is no one's ever alone, and that's something I try to communicate, that there's just that we're all connected, and there's just every time somebody hurts somebody else is hurting, and I'll never know how something feels for you. I can relate, but I know that I will never be able to understand. I'll never feel how you feel. Even if I'm describing the same emotion, I never will be able to feel that. So just the individuality of all perspectives.
Oh no, what's great is that you can resonate with different people. Like, when some of the things that you said, I can take those pieces and apply them to my own internal battles or personal battles, which makes, like you said, makes me feel more connected to you and feel like I know you more, and allows for that vulnerability that we all need. So thank you for being willing to display it and kind of teaching us that we can do it too, because that's tough. And that's absolutely beautiful.
You rock.
Can I high five you? Can we high five?
Yeah.
My name is Chelsee Jean. I'm your host, and I'm also an addict and alcoholic. And many people have a hard time understanding someone who is chemically dependent, if they are not. And many times it's hard for the chemically dependent person to convey their disturbing love and hate relationship for something that rips them apart to the core and those who love them. While I was in treatment, I was given an assignment to give 10 reasons I love to use and 10 reasons why I need to stop. Here's a look inside my addict mind. Please be aware when reading this, it is a vulnerable thing to share, as I realize the misunderstandings that go with addiction and how insane it can be. This is in no way to glorify the use of drugs, because if it were, I wouldn't have written these truths to the madness of my disease while in a treatment center and practicing a life of recovery. I only hope my rigorous honesty, it helps someone in some way. 10 reasons I love to use. 1. I love the ritual of using. Once I have the drug, for example, whippets, I take the box of 24, I lay out the 3 to 4 balloons in a case, one rips with a cracker, all on my floor in front of me. I turn on the TV and pull up my Pandora account and pick a radio station that suits my mood, volume all the way up. I take my first whippet, I put in the cracker, turn it till it is tight. I place the balloon securely around the end of the cracker and twist to loosen the cracker as I hear the balloon inflate. A calmness rushes over down my body as I inhale and exhale into the balloon. I repeat this over and over. I have to pace myself. 2. I love the feeling of the beer hitting my taste buds and running down my throat. I enjoy the taste more than the effects of alcohol. 3. The initial high of crack cocaine is always comforting, like a lover's warm body that I cuddle into and makes me feel safe, not alone. 4. Takes away the anxiety of social situations. 5. It makes me feel superior, above being a human. 6. Gives me endless energy, or can put me right to sleep depending on what I want. 7. It never judges me. 8. It is always there, hoping for attention and wanting for me. 9. I can be whoever or whatever I wish myself to be with no expectation of how I got there. And 10. Nothing else can hurt me except me, because when I'm using, I control the deepest pain, and it's no one else's to take or have. 10 reasons why I need to stop. 1. Because my family and friends do not deserve the verbal and mental abuse, along with the fact that I no longer want to hurt them and lose them entirely. 2. I need a personal relationship with my higher power. When using, I do not have a clear mind, body, and soul to do that. 3. I want to practice kindness in my daily life and be a positive peer to my fellow alcoholics, addicts, and just all human beings. 4. The goals I have set for myself cannot be executed if I'm actively using, i.e. rock your choice, my own business, a family business, giving selflessly to others, and now the local experiment. 5. I want to have children and be present in their lives. 6. I don't want to live in fear of my own mind and the thoughts and the feelings I pass through and eventually become mentally paralyzed by them. 7. I do not want to live in financial ruins, the freedom to travel, explore little big things in life, and it would only minimize that by money problems. 8. The desire for peace within myself and loving myself fully is desired more than using, so I can carry that through to others in needing by volunteering and being charitable. 9. Because my purpose, like everyone's, is far greater than this, and learning and gaining knowledge is more appealing and satisfying. And 10. If I do not stop using, it's only a matter of time until I hurt or kill someone else, myself, or both. And tragedy does not have to end in that result.
Poison is slowly infecting the consumer goods mass production machine, cutting costs and simply being at a loss for a resource that was once so abundant, funded by the irrepressible need to feed the greed of those on top of the corporate tree. They won't know about it till it's far too late. Then they will lose their jobs for not knowing about it. Someone ought to know what's going on somewhere down the line. With the mixers on the grind adding fine white powder to... They just open the bags and dump. How should they know? The bag filler didn't make it. The maker doesn't know the supplier. The chain twists and contorts every way, but no one will claim responsibility, much less offer a solution to this pollution that we taste in our noses when we walk outside anywhere in this occupied earth. Poison we put in our mouths willingly, because it's cheaper than full price, but it's not nice to hear about persistent health problems that probably get caused by too much of irregular things. Seems like everybody's got a cocktail they swallow and pray daily. Mine's like caffeine, nicotine, breakfast, maybe rice and beans. Damn, I need some vitamins. Or fresh out of fruit. Gotta go to work and pick up the loot. Somebody get a little bit of alcohol. Too much. I'm stooped over. I can't get nothing. Can't get nothing done. Regulations fought against so hard, and now we'll never know where it's coming from. There are places where they can't use the water anymore. Beautiful places, destroyed by 200 or 300 years of industry. Tell me about a place with no electromagnetic radiation. I will be a sage beggar all my life, and I have been a toiler and a laborer. I want to know where all my pens have gone. They couldn't have just disappeared. And I'm sober as a bird, but I feel like I'm tripping on acid listening to 40-year-old synthesis on the present-day world information apparatus. Redundancy. And what do they call it when there's so much of something that any one individual something means almost nothing? The resurgent, re-emergent statements are what unfurls in the upcoming spirit convergence. Tell me the tidbits, the tiny information bubbles that swell and pop, and join what was once an inside and an outside, now all sides, all things, steeped in meaning but left on the counter, grew quickly stale. What's going to happen in 2012? Where am I now? Shivering slightly with a small cat, feigning interest, then getting on to other matters? Is it a glut of self-flattery that gives every one of us an artist a chance to be an artist? Or self-degrading that gives every one of us a chance to be a victim who decides what it means to live or die? If it was I, a daily cycle of all life, all death, all consuming extremes, blinking like a candle flame on a switch. How many bards must herald the winners are cheating and the losers are lying to themselves, and I'm lying by myself, nearly on the edge of sleep, but compelling light electro-imagination has me doing the dance of ink to pulp, because there are too many turns of phrase to remember to the end of days. Please, when you reach the edge of the flat ocean nearing the waterfall, think maybe not of me, but the way I smile, encompassing all good and bad and neutral, and new and decrepit, and the order and the chaos and the order, and remember how taking all those things into account, it feels right to feel okay, and hope for others to feel okay in return. Give a reassuring hand gesture. Think nothing of it. Send me a postcard, but instead drop it into the void, where things beyond what we can ever know get my best regards.